Hi everybody. I'm tucked away in a little corner of my house here. I'm pre-recording this video instead of going live, just because I felt like doing it right now. But today I wanted to talk about the topic of encountering Jesus, because I noticed that on the last day of his life, the Friday, even though like everything that he was going through, the people who he came across still had a really special encounter, some of them. And that got me thinking about the times I've encountered him. And it got me thinking about special encounters as well. Because I think as a Christian, we can encounter Jesus anyway, like from reading the word, we encounter him. And, you know, when we get used to the voice of the Holy Spirit or his voice in our life, then life sort of becomes an ongoing encounter, really. He said, "My sheep will hear my voice." And so, you know, when you hear his voice, that becomes an ongoing encounter. But then I think in your life, you have also this odd special moment where Jesus makes himself real to you or brings you something unusual. And I would love to hear from you, actually, whether you have had a particular time in your life where you encountered Jesus in a, I don't know, in a way that was unique to you, I suppose, because we're all unique. So the way I encountered Jesus won't look anything like the stories in your life. But I can think back to some really key moments. One of those moments was early on. I was really questioning Christianity. Well, really, initially, when I first turned to God, I looked at all the other religions first before Christianity, and I was really very flummoxed and very confused by the fact that there were so many different beliefs out there. And so one day I was walking across the street to my house, like feeling ultra confused and asking God, what is real? And I approached my front door and I saw that it tucked in the handle of my front door was a bunch of flowers. And when I looked more closely, the bunch of flowers was anonymous. There was no name attached to them. And attached to the bunch of flowers with a little ribbon was the tiniest little playing card. And the playing card was the King of Clubs. I knew that Jesus had described himself as a king, and so for me that felt like Jesus. Jesus had just given me some flowers. I then discovered that that day was actually Palm Sunday, the day that Jesus entered Jerusalem as a king. Now, you might think, so I don't know whether you think this, a non-believing person would think, yeah, so what? That was just a coincidence. But for me, it felt special. But then there were other times that were more remarkable, actually. Like one time early on, I was lying in bed. I think I was asleep. And I suddenly felt Jesus standing beside my bedside. And then I felt my body actually rise like I was falling, except I was flying upwards. And I felt that happen to my body. And then I kind of came to. And the sensation of that was so strange that I had no words to describe what had just happened. And all of the next day I thought to myself, did that just happen? And what just happened there? That was really, really weird. So there was that. And then another time, I found for a period that it really bothered me that I couldn't see Jesus in the flesh. And I'd say to him, it really bothers me that I can't see you in the flesh like the disciples could. You know, I'd say to him, like, if only I could have a vision of you, or if only you could come into my living room and appear on my couch and be sitting there. If I could encounter you in the flesh, then I would believe. Like, Lord, I believe, help my unbelief. And, I felt, I'd really like that. Why doesn't Jesus do that? Why doesn't he appear to me like that? And then shortly after I'd asked him that question or lamented in that way, I woke in the middle of the night to feel a voice, like it was a voice in my spirit, and I felt it was Jesus, and I felt him point to my heart and say to me, you don't need me to appear to you in the flesh, you have me in here. So that was pretty cool. And then finally, I've only ever dreamt of Jesus once. which is pretty amazing, really. I do dream a lot, and it's amazing to me to think about him all the time, but I don't actually dream about him. So to actually dream about him was a pretty remarkable thing for me. And I had this dream about Jesus, that I was talking to him. And how the dream went was, I was talking to him and he was sitting, not looking at me, but just nodding and listening to what I was saying. And what I was saying to him was, my kids are over there, my husband's over there. And I was pointing to my husband and kids and saying, they're over there by some rocks, and there's like dangerous waves. And I was going, they're over there, go and sort out my kids. And he was just nodding and listening. But what he was actually looking at with his eyes was something he was holding in his hand. And what he was holding in his hand was a couple of serving bowls from my house, from my kitchen. They were empty. And it was as if he was listening to me with all my troubles, but he was actually focused on what I was going to be serving to other people. And so that was a lesson to me that yes, he's got it in control. He's got it under control. He knows all about, where my family's at, and he knows about my troubles or worries, but he is actually focused on what I'm going to be serving to others. He has food for me to serve to others. And so that was fascinating. So the whole area of encountering Jesus is an interesting one. I suppose what I'm saying is that, we can encounter him every day through the word and by praying and talking to him and stuff. But then there will be moments in our lives where he comes through for us with a special moment in some way. And it will be very unique and very personalized. And it won't look like an encounter that somebody else has had. But honestly, what an adventure it is to know Jesus. So hope you like that. I'd love to hear your thoughts. All right, bye.